Oh, welcome everybody. I'm so sorry. We're having some technical difficulties right now, and you can't see me, but I want to welcome everybody to the show today. It is minority.
Tressa, if you're talking, we can't hear you. So sorry, y'all. I'm the moderator. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on. I am also making sure we're good
So
on
sorry, y'all.
Facebook.
I'm the moderator.
So sorry, y'all. I'm trying to locate Tressa. Can you hear us, Tressa?
Yes, I've been back here for about 5 minutes. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing multiple things, so sorry about that. But we're
Can you
live
hear us,
now.
Tressa?
I can, and I am sorry to everyone who I held up. I have had technical difficulties. So, welcome to the show. Today, we're talking about is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have some beautiful women, and we're all going to be talking about mental health and how it affects the Black community, and also the power of sisterhood and how that plays into our relationship with each other and supporting each other. Oh, and I forgot to, I'm sorry, I'm Tressa with Radical Transformation with T, Centrally Empowered Woman, and Transformative Conversations and Solutions. Ladies, would you please introduce yourself? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll go first. Um, so my name is Kathy. Um, I'm currently living in California, and I am an empowered sister who has had her own journey um, travailing depression. And I can say that a big part of my transformation and my toolkit that I've developed over the years has come from um, sacred sisterhood circles and um, doing inner inner work. It's been a journey, and
So,
so
Kathy, right now, I just want you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit, and we're going to kind of get into the topic in a little bit. So, if you could tell them who you are, what you do, and then let the other women, and then we're going to kind of go into that.
okay. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I have a organization. It's called Kiss, Keeping It Soulfully Sexy. I am giving her a revamp now because she's had various forms. But what I do now is I have a sort of a hotline where it's just an opportunity or space for women to um, just have what we used to call in my journey. Oh my God, I can't even think of the word right now. I hate this. But like, I just called you for one the other day, Tressa. Help me with the word, please. Um, oh my God, I hate when this happens.
That's okay.
But it's Tressa, help me. So it's like when you're going through something or you have something that you just got to get out of you, you just need to talk. That's been a tool that I've learned, and I offer that to women where you can call and get and say, hey, I need 10 minutes, I need 15 minutes, I need 20 minutes to get this out. And it's a platform where I can hold the space to just listen to you, or you
Mm-hmm.
can get constructive feedback if you choose. Um, it's still being put together. So the women that I have now, just people that know me, and they know that I do that, so they will call and schedule something with me, and we'll just hold that space because that has been so instrumental to me in my own journey. So I'll leave it there for now.
Okay. Someone else, so we can, yeah, get to the topic. Who wants to go next? Rhonda?
Yes, I can go next. Hello,
Thanks.
everyone. Hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Mercury retrograde. We are blessed to be in this space to have the universe working with us. I am the founder of the Goddess Society. My journey with uh, mental health has been one that has been a roller coaster throughout life. I think many of us discount the shifts and changes from death, death of relationships, death of family members, death of dreams and ideas, and just settling into that. And so I've been one of those individuals that continuously just overcome and don't let those deaths of dreams and ideas stand in the way, and allow myself to show other women, much like Kathy, bringing women together to be able to see themselves, live authentically through their inner woman. And today I'll probably share a little bit about the last thing that I overcame, which was a relationship with a narcissist and domestic violence. So, in celebrating mental health, when we have those spaces where we are harmed in any way, it takes a bit of healing to overcome it. So I look forward to being able to share that journey with you all uh, here today. So
Rhonda, can y'all hear me? I'm trying to move from my phone to the
Rhonda, can y'all
computer.
hear me? I'm trying.
yes, we can hear you. Do you want me to keep going, or you want the next?
I'm gonna ask Riri to come on.
Riri to come on.
Hi, Norma.
Hi. All right, can you guys hear me? You can.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So, hey everybody. I am Riri, also known as the Leading Boss Lady, and uh, I do a lot of things, but my focus is on the Leading Boss Lady, which I constructed from my own life with um, mental health, bipolar, type 1, trichotillomania. Y'all, as long as I've had this diagnosis, I still can't say that word. Anxiety, depression, OCD, it, and I put together the Leading Boss Lady because I wanted to be the example for women, letting them know, like, hey, she done been through all of this. Some people didn't make it, but you could overcome it. So what I do is I put a focus on moms with disabilities. I'm open to all moms. I'm open to everybody, but my focus is on moms with disability to overcome difficulty, however that may look for you. By while maintaining the family structure. So we all know that during our healing journey, it gets ugly. I'm not even gonna front like it's the prettiest thing, but it gets ugly. And how it affects us, it affects our children. I have 4 children, by the way, so that has been a trying experience. Suicide attempt under my belt, and where it is, I found it to be more ancestral. And so I like for moms to know, like, hey, it's not just you, there's things to go along with this, and we work and maneuver our way to overcome whatever it may look like. It's a general program. My guidance pack, I do offer a guidance package. It's general but specific at the same time. Like, yeah, we're going to overcome difficulty, however that may look, but you may need to do something that somebody else may. So I like to just keep it open until we do, intake to decide what services is best for which person. But that's pretty much what I offer in general. One other thing I haven't pushed out yet, but it's almost ready, is taking like astrology and looking at the charts and offering parents a blueprint and ideas and ways to understand their child better. This child may not need to be disciplined like that one, because it all goes and comes back to mental health and how we perceive and process. But I talk a lot, so that's pretty much that's for the most part. Thank y'all.
Okay, ladies. Thank you, Tasha. I tried. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna stick with the phone. I was over here trying to get back on the computer, but it's not working. So, Norma, do you want to tell us a little bit about you, and then we all gonna kind of get started, talk a little bit about our story, and anybody that has any questions, Tasha will be fielding the questions. Also, because this is such a delicate topic, we have domestic violence. She's going to put on here domestic violence hotline, suicidal hotline, um, mental health hotline. And I think there was one more. We're going to make sure that you all have somewhere to go if you get triggered before, I mean, doing this show. We want to make sure that everybody remains safe. Norma, do you want to talk about a little bit about you, and then we'll start to let everybody kind of share their stories and around mental health.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate being invited to this platform. Can
You're
y'all hear
welcome.
me?
Yes.
Um, my name is Norma. I'm um, many roles, and the way that I met Tressa was as a my role as a curandera, which is a traditional healer in many indigenous understandings. So that's what I do. I offer healing services to those individuals who look for it as an individual, and I offer my services as a community healer as well, offering healings to the earth, to the water, to the mountains, to whatever it is that requires that kind of approach. But that's basically what I'm doing. Just what everybody else seems to be doing, taking our collective experiences and helping them to using them to help others and our generations of ancestors before and after those that are coming after us, just really helping to heal the earth and ourselves and all our relatives all the way around. So thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, Rhonda and Riri, I'm going to ask because you're facilitators if you can stay visible for our fan. I don't want to say fans, but for those who are watching us, Rachel, at any point you are welcome to help me co-host. I just want you to know. If you got any questions, you can either write them in the chat so Tasha can let us see them. She is so good at this, y'all. I mean, she's amazing. So, and she's a thousand times amazing because sometimes, you know, when I get frustrated and stressed out, she's always there to calm me down, and help remind me, we're in this together. So I just want to make sure everybody know that, give her a kudos. So with that being said, one of the things when we think about mental health, I know that I didn't really know, but now that I do the work around mental health and do intake work, um, I realized I definitely should have probably had a diagnosis, but thankful to God I did not get a diagnosis because that probably would have been, I had enough stuff that I was carrying. So that probably would have been something else that I would have wore it like it was a badge, and I probably would have used it as another excuse. And I am grateful. But growing up, when they talk about how you self harm, I used to dig in my skin, and when I was probably about 14, it's the fact that I thought about it. Cause who thinks about, like in my mind, I was like, I'm just gonna freeze myself to death. So I'm gonna go outside. I ain't gonna have no shoes on. Like it was so crazy because it was the fact that I thought that I really wanted to harm myself and I wanted to be out. But that was my way of thinking that that was what I was, that was how I was going to hurt myself. But I used to dig in my skin and I used to hit myself and I used to um, just degrade myself in so many ways. And I didn't have, and yes, I was in therapy. I remember one time I went to the doctor. The doctor she was so frustrated. She didn't know what to do with me because she felt like, I mean, I had anxiety really bad. I had anxiety really bad. I was having panic attacks and I was just really stressed. So that's a little bit about my story, and I brought it up first because oftentimes, sometimes things are going on we don't even know. And even back then, I didn't know that I was depressed. So, like to me, I didn't know I was depressed, but I mean, eventually, I started to understand that that was what was really happening. But like I said, there was a lot of things that had happened even before then that couldn't pinpoint. I had no idea there was a thing called self harming. And so when you think about it, for me, it was physical and it was mental and emotional because I was saying negative things to myself, but at the same time I was very abusive. So I'm gonna let each one of y'all kind of talk about y'all story. At any point, anybody has any questions they want to talk about, and then because I want the stories to kind of be a little bit brief, like we really get to the meat of it. But then I want us to, before this is over with, talk about what sisterhood or community, how it helped us to um, shift our lives in the way that we were doing things and how we see ourselves and the support that we got, whatever route, whether it was physical therapy, I mean, whether it was regular therapy or whatever it was. Let's just talk about it, because what we want our audience to understand is there is hope, and sisterhood is one powerful way. And that's not to say you don't need a therapist, because sometimes it's to be on us in a casual conversation with our friends. We just may have to be honest. This is not my lane, but here's what you can do, and this is who you can go to. And it may be different things. From when I chose and asked all of you, I realized that we all kind of had a different story, from alcoholism to suicide to domestic violence to mental health. There was a lot of different there's a lot of different things going on here. And so if each one of you want to start, let's start with your story. Riri, let's go with you first. How old were you when you found out all these things?
Oh wow, Spirit just told me she finna call on you, and I'm like, no look, and here you go. Wow, my story actually came way before I existed. Um, I'm just playing this story in this moment. It's what I have realized. But I've always had mental health issues, even as a child, before I knew what it was. It wasn't until, and actually, this week is the anniversary of my suicide attempt. It's
Oh
the anniversary
wow.
of yeah, so yesterday I was like, it's the 26th. What is it? And then today it was like there's something. And I get on Facebook and I saw a post that my sister had wrote, about, yeah, God got you, and the devil, this. And I was like, that's what it is. This is the anniversary of my suicide attempt. And
So how old
so
were you?
that was at that time I was 27, I believe.
Okay.
I believe I was 27. I had two children, Kennedy and Tank. They were about 4 and 5, 3 and 4 ish, somewhere around that time. And at the moment, I was staying with a friend. And I've never had stability. And so in this moment, nor have I had sincere support. That just took a lot for me to say that growing up. I do now. But I didn't have stability, nor did I have sincere support. So I was staying with someone else again. And she had a moment where she was a little irritated. And I think it was the last time when she came in, even though she apologized, it was like, damn, here I go again, back with somebody else. Nobody's trying to help me with my children. It's talk, talk, talk. Mentally, I'm drained. I remove myself. Somebody will help my children. That's what I said. I was sitting on the bed
Mm.
and I was like, excuse my mouth, but this is what I said. I was like, fuck it. It was some, I can't even remember which pills it was. It's so
Girl, we
long, but I
curse.
just took them to the head. But y'all, when I took them to the head, I was like, oh shit, like what's going to happen? I started panicking. I went bamming on her door because I started feeling a certain way. And I was like, I took these and it went bizarre. I went to the hospital, whoop the whoop. It led me to being in a mental institution, which was the best thing for me at that moment. I was able to, and I had to sit still from everything, from the voices that I heard that I was told was crazy, from all of this. And that's when I got the diagnosis. That didn't change. I got put on medication. The first medication they ever put me on was lithium. Lithium damn near took my memory.
Oh
And they didn't do
wow.
any tests, anything. What I've read about, that was the first medicine that they put me in. They didn't approach it from a holistic perspective. They approached it just you hearing stuff, you seeing stuff, you acting out, whoop de whoop. Not that I was going through a divorce. I was separated. I didn't have any help. I never had. They didn't look at it from that point of view. And so once they put me on that lithium, it went down. My children, my oldest daughter, and this is why now it does affect them, but I would be passed out. I would wake up. I kept fruit. My son was fed, but I could not remember. I couldn't remember. I would get in a car with thinking I'm going to go somewhere and forget. And so by now, I'm crazy. I got a job. I'm bouncing back. I got a job. Somehow, one of the teachers met my aunt, and they found out that I was bipolar and crazy, and that spread it against my reputation. So now everybody know I'm crazy, and which triggers it more. And then you get counselors who's not in it for you. I got the pull in my hair really bad. I got the diagnosis of bipolar type 1. I got the diagnosis of trichotillomania. That's where you pull your hair. Y'all, I would pull my hair for my comfort because though that pinching, that little small self-harm wasn't good for me. Those little scrapes was not good for me. I would pull my hair from the scalp. And so I'm doing this now as a 27-year-old mom. I did it a little bit when I was younger, but now it's like, man, I'm gonna post pictures soon too, but I was bald. I started trying to shave it in with a pencil, eyeliner pencil, but then it just got outrageous where it was patched up. I do my hair, I do my vaginal areas because that vaginal areas was sensitive, but I needed that pain. You understand what I'm saying? Underneath my arms did not fulfill me. My legs did not fulfill me. It was my head and my vaginal area. Either I was up, 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 or I was very low. There was very seldom no in between. And that's why I do what I do now. It's so many more stories that I cannot share in this moment. But I didn't have support then. And I have to, just because somebody's present is on here, give a shout out to one of the reasons. And I'm going to give her shout out to my sanity now. I love Miss Rachel. I love Miss Rachel, and she don't like being shouted out, but she is well protected because she has been a backbone to me these past few years, and we met through my healing journey. So I'm gonna leave it there, but I'm gonna give her a public shout out because as long as I'm going and growing, she will always grow and grow. She has been a blessing to not only me, but to my children. And I'm so grateful. And I only did that because I see her on there. And she is goddess. And I'm gonna leave it
So
there,
when
y'all.
you, I'm gonna ask a few questions because, like, again, we're gonna be. I guess I could start with you. I might because I don't want it to get kind of convoluted. I want to start with you. I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and then I'm gonna ask about your support system, which you started off talking about. You started off talking about your
Mm-hmm,
Miss Rachel being. I love Rachel too. I just gotta say it, but you talked about Rachel
mm-hmm,
being your. She was one
yeah.
of your support systems. Um, do you do not go around calling yourself crazy now, do you?
Oh, heck no. I know
Okay,
who I
I just need,
am.
I need you. You know what I'm saying? Like over a period of time, you
Oh,
start
yes,
to learn
ma'am.
because people are going to come behind you and they're going to be listening to this. And I want them to understand that was the understanding you had then. But we know that you're not crazy. And then
Mm-hmm,
now you're working a job, you're
right.
stable, you're able to keep, you're
Mm-hmm,
doing all those things.
mm-hmm,
So when you talk about community, Miss Rachel, I know I met you through I believe, or Erica, but
mm-hmm,
we were all kind of with the magical mystic and stuff like that. And um
mm-hmm.
I remember you coming up and we all shared a house together for one of the events. So
Yeah.
when you talk about some your healing journey, I know you talked about Miss Rachel, and um I know you're back to work. You want to kind of talk just briefly on some of those things because how it all happened,
Yeah.
because community, whether it's one person or whether it's 10 people, it's community.
Right, right, right. Okay, so I can. And right now, Miss Rachel is dear to me now in this moment. There's no was, that is, and always. She ain't going nowhere. Understand that. But when I met Tressa met me at a transitional period in my life. That was the Legacy Builders retreat.
Oh,
And she
okay.
met a weakened version of me. Yeah, that was Legacy Builders. And even then, I was gaining my power. So that sisterhood, and I'm gonna pause because I have to go back to that. But when it came down to even progressing, I really had to accept it. But I didn't really accept it until about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago, when I started working on not caring and really just being who I am. Yeah, you hear stuff, use it, apply it. Yes, they did that. How did it benefit you? I talk to myself most of the day. I don't care if I'm working. I talk to myself because that's something I never did before. I never understood me. I always look for validation. I've always looked for validation. So I had become somebody that I thought people wanted me to be. You know, I always visualize myself as being able to take care of people. I love that. But I didn't visualize my how. You know, I was trying to make it in the physical, not knowing that you had to approach this holistically. Um, I use many different areas. Now, my support system, let me pause for that in a little bit. Right now, I have the strongest, smallest support system ever. I just went through another transitional phase where spirit made sure everything was taken. I'm getting ready to move. I'm leaving Mississippi, and there is nothing being left behind. I had to return here, and it wasn't by spiritual choice. And I had to heal on my healing ground. That's been 2 years ago. And I'm just feeling like, well done. You did it. My spiritual, I got to give a shout out because everybody has their business. My corner. Two of my friends, I'm not going to mention because I don't like mentioning names just because of spiritual protection, you know, and stuff like that. But they know who I am, my close friends. But when it comes down to my spiritual community known, I'm going to give a shout out to M. I'm going to give a shout out to M, and I'm going to tell you guys why. M. Rain of the Magical Mystics, Erica Johnson. Oh, is it the Phantom Queen?
Yeah.
I already said Miss Rachel. Tressa, Nelly, because they held me accountable. I'm going to tell you guys, accountability is big. If somebody can't hold you accountable, like let them go. Because when it comes to mental health, if you already being perceived as what they call delusional, you got to make sure you're not. And that whoever is around you perceives you the way that you perceive yourself. It makes a big difference with your team behind you. My mental health had gotten so bad, and I'm not going to go into a deep detail that I had some mental attacks happen. Nobody was around. But those women right there, and there may be more, there are more, but this is my power team that has came through one call. And let me not forget Tasha Mentrez. Through my weakest, it wasn't pitting me. It was, you do this, you know better. I've told you this, done. With the exception of Miss Rachel. Because we love you enough to make sure you got what you're doing. Because if we keep coming to your rescue, what's going to happen? We're not around. So they forced me to be into my power. And I'm grateful for that. I had to decide it though. But with the mental health perspective over it, it gave me more clarity. I started defining, being able to define who I am, because even though I wanted to fall off, they were there to strengthen me no matter what it is. And I'm telling you, I'm here. I may have made it. But it would have took me longer. But when you have a strong support system, that doesn't mean you talk every day, that you can trust and that sees you for who you are unstoppable. And I had to learn it. I feel
really
like
appreciate
they
that.
contribute to my power.
Because women that
You know,
come
I
on
love you,
after you and
Trevor.
hear your What
You
do you
know, I
say?
love you. You know, I was about to send you all these. I love you. I was about to send you all these questions. And I was like, no, I'm not fit to bother her. And I had to ask myself, I said, if it was Tressa go ask some questions.
Yeah, because the
Go
thing
ask
is,
your
I want
question.
it to be organic, and I really want everybody to kind of, like I may give you kind of a hint of what it's about, but I really want it to come. And then because you may be led to say something that because you get the question, you start trying to put all this stuff in your mind, and I just want it to be, because sometimes we get questions and things, and I just want you to learn to trust yourself. And so thank you for taking time, because
Yep.
there's we don't always know. Like I said, I didn't know till here I am in the last maybe 15, 20 years that what self-harm was and all these different things as I started to do the type of work that I did. And I'm like, dang. But I was grateful. I was shielded. I just feel like the spirit shielded me from being able to get labeled the things. Not the label makes you bad, but because of all the trauma and stuff I was going through, it would have been another struggle for me to have to deal with. Okay. Miss Rhonda or Miss Kathy, who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
Well, that's a difficult story to follow behind Miss Riri. It's beautiful as well. Again, I'm Rhonda, Goddess Rhonda. I am the founder of Goddess Society Sanctuary and Learning Center. What that is, it's a sacred space that Spirit has guided me to open up for the collective. Again, what we're talking about today is sisterhood. It's dedicated to spiritual awakening, emotional healing, and most of all, personal freedom for women. And this space was really born out of the classes that I've been teaching since about 2012, 2013, which provide women with self-realization, abundance strategies, authentic living through education of basically hermetic principles. And that's how Tressa and I got to know each other, because she went through the classes back in what we discovered was 2014. So I met Tressa early on her journey and was able to help be one of the many guides that have helped her in her space.
Yes.
So my what I want to share today really talks about the disruption, because not everyone is on the same, polar scale as Miss Riri. Some of us think we're fine, and we go through things and don't recognize how our mental health is disturbed and how it disturbs and disrupts everything else in our lives. And so for myself, here I am running my classes. Everything is going good. I met this fantastic man who said all the right things, did all the right things, showed up spiritually for me. We would study together. He had all the ideas in the world about how we're going to build together. And one day I realized that, before that one day, the turmoil of the up and down and push and pull of our relationship off on, because he would do the greatest things, and then on the opposite end of that, he would not show up in ways that I needed him to. And I don't even have any examples, because I haven't committed to memory any things done against me. I've let that go and I have healed from it. However, if you understand narcissism, you understand that push and pull from a man who's trying to mentally corrupt you and control you by lifting you up and then tearing you down emotionally and spiritually. And so that was the game that he played. And with that, I wasn't able to teach my classes. I'm not able to pour into anybody else because I'm empty, because I'm dealing with this nonsense from this individual. And once I discovered that, okay, I'm bigger than this, I'm better than this, I'm gonna finally let this man go. And I packed my things and got ready to move out. He picks me up and body slams me into the kitchen floor and ruptured 2 of my vertebrae in my neck, and another 5 of them are bulging. So serious injury to me, and also broke my tailbone. So I woke up the next morning and I couldn't walk. Obviously, that was physical harm. But because of all that turmoil that I had been back and forth with him, I really didn't know who I was and how I even got into that space. It made me question everything in my reality. I'm really big on therapy. I already had a therapist and a coach that I was working with, because we all work with the same folks at that time. Latanya was one of my coaches. I had a business coach named Manesh. I had a therapist that I was seeing that I even tried to take this gentleman to with me so that we can get help for this up and down relationship. And working with all of them, I was able to see myself. But then I decided to move away because he was still stalking me and a bunch of other things. So I moved to Florida. And while in Florida, I actually gained a new community where I had a neurosomatic therapist that I was able to remove the trauma out of my body, working alongside with my mental therapist so that I could understand why this would even happen. And the crazy part about it, and I want you guys, anyone that's dealt with domestic violence, to also recognize that these individuals look for us as a source. And when you get ready to take your source away, you become the enemy. And so he did me harm because I was taking his source away, which was me. And narcissism is a mental health issue. It's a sociopathic disorder. And so any woman that's dealing with a situation where she's in a household with a man who's taking her through that, I so encourage you to make the call. If you're not experiencing physical violence, you can still contact one of these domestic violence hotlines and get help for mental violence against you. So I went to Florida. I spent 4 years basically in solitude because I'm a Virgo, and Virgo is the hermit, and I do my healing alone. So for me, those therapists were all that I needed, and I needed to bounce the ideas and thoughts that I was having about myself. Because again, when in a domestic violence situation, you really question who you are and why is this happening to you? Do you deserve such? How could this happen? It was really all of those things. But after it was over, I was able to, there's somatic there, which your, what is it called? Psoas muscle that holds all of our emotions in our womb area. I was able to get all of that removed. I was able to do work with the dial that recognized the meridians around the navel, which also hold all of our emotions. So I was able to release all of that through that. And of course, I was already spiritually inclined. So meditating every day, I was at the ocean, giving thanks every day. And in that 4 years, I was able to step back, and Spirit said my healing was done. And I was given instructions to start a new class, and then instructions to come back home. And because I'm stubborn and didn't want to leave Florida, 2 hurricanes to kick my butt and send me back home. And when I got here, within 30 days, this sanctuary was handed to me so that I can, again, hold space. Because I held space for women during the hurricane, too. And Spirit basically told me that's my job, is to hold space for others. And if it wasn't for me going through, which is to me the most devastating thing I've gone through in my life with that man, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be right here right now with this beautiful space that I've always said, oh, I want a wellness center. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know it was going to be the goddess sanctuary. I didn't know that I was going to be inviting other goddesses in to share and honor their gifts, just to hold space for the community. So that support is everything. For the hermit, I had to go away and go do it by myself, but I am grateful to be able to come back and hold space for others in all capacities. Yesterday, we just had a workshop about perimenopause for Black women, for all of us to sit around and talk about how our energy shows up through our cycles and how the system works against us. And we can go on. That's a whole separate podcast. But just wanted to share just how, even though you may think that everything's all good, these situations that we put ourselves in can uproot us and totally throw our mental capacity off and put us in a space where we do need healing, we do need community. And so again, if you are in any of those spaces with a man or a woman that is making you question any part of you, get help. Touch base with your sister, call somebody, talk about it. And if they're just talking about it and saying, girl, and not really, like Riri says, having someone hold you accountable, then that's not the person that you should be talking to. So.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, you did go away for 4 years. I'm glad that you got the counseling. But you had a few sisters that you talked to.
Yeah, you was one of them.
I know, and I need women to know, it's like, it's okay. because sometimes some women, you get to be too much of a hermit, it tends to backfire because they can go into depression. You may not have been one of them, but that was the way you kept yourself from doing it. Therapy, coaches, talking to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I wasn't
So
alone. Definitely not alone. Just I pulled myself out of the environment that I was in.
okay, so
Sometimes
yeah, so I'm, so again, I hope you don't think like, well, you know me enough to know that I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but also trying to make sure it's really clear to the other women that you move from that environment and not being a hermit. But you had a few sisters, and even if it wasn't me, which one of them was, because I just love you, girl. Let me tell y'all. So when y'all started taking her class, she couldn't get rid of me. I took the class. And I think I took it maybe once or twice, but then I started giving my services so I could be a part of every class. So I would come over there and I'm going to volunteer because now I get to be back again and again and again to be part of her. And we just became so close that I don't know that there's anything like that accountability. She's held me accountable. I've held her accountable. Um, but I love the work she's doing because one of the things I love is that I remember when you used to talk about all these things that you wanted. And now I'm looking at how everything is unfolding. Um, but you never stop talking about your wellness center. You never stop dreaming. You just always would talk about it. And here you are. So I just love that for you because, it's unfortunate you had to go through what you went through. But what I can say is, um it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And it might have been the thing that almost in a way, without sounding condescending, saved your life to a degree, because sometimes when we don't move when we're supposed to move and we wait so long, things do happen. And here you are, like in Michigan doing the work.
absolutely. I even want to say this because during how I even got with him is because my thought process was off. I was looking for a man to be a power couple. I was looking for a man to do this work with. I thought I needed a man on my shoulder to. I don't even know where I got the idea that it was supposed to be a man and a woman doing this work together, girl. You know how we pick up stuff. But obviously, this entity caught on to that and went ahead and grabbed a hold of me and gave me what I thought I wanted, but it wasn't what I needed. And yes, even during the relationship with him, I would call you, girl, this happened, that happened, and you were there. And yes, you'd hold me accountable. Well, what you gonna do about it? I don't know. I'm gonna
Right.
go back. I'm gonna go back. Girl, I'm back with him. Y'all know those yo-yo relationships.
Ooh, child, I know.
It's if it's not feeding you, if he's not loving you, if he's not providing in a space that you can have joy around what he's providing, then it's not for you. But to your point and what I was trying to get at is I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that I'm now able to see I don't need anybody but spirit. I got a whole spirit team. I don't need nobody on this plane. And I needed all of that to happen to see how spirit has my back, to see that what I hear is true. Because I was told to come back here. I was told to get this house. I was told. And all I do is listen and follow suit. And things just happen like this. If it wasn't for that situation with him, with me thinking I needed something outside of self, I wouldn't be so strong and powerful within self. So I'm standing in double time on top of what I share with every other woman because I was just thinking, when I created these classes, it was just really the material world to have control over and manifest through. No, I don't even look at manifesting the same way. I stand on what spirit says, and manifestation comes to me. It floats to me. I'm on a magic carpet ride, and all of that
Yeah. Keep
comes.
speaking that. Because when you saying all these things and everybody hear you, it's just going further and further out. It's going out because you have declared that this is your life. I love that. And the thing is, Rachel, please feel okay to okay, Norma says she's not able to get back on. Um but Rachel, feel free if you want to ask any questions of anybody else. The thing I would say about domestic violence, um I too went through domestic violence. Like, it's so it's a lot. Because, and at that time, I guess part of it was because of my mental health, but part of it was because that was the way I coped. So I remember, um my, well, ex-husband now, but like, I was at my job a couple of times and he came up and got mad at me. He slapped me in front of everybody, but it was like I had gotten so immune to so much shit that I just didn't know how to just feel like I had learned how to take all the sadness and all the pain and stuff and ball it up like a lump, and I could feel it when I swallowed it. And that was kind of how I was coping with so many things and the depression and stuff. Like, some of my friends will ask me now, how did you do it? What happened? Like, they couldn't understand. Like, I can't tell you either. It's like sometimes we can be so broken that this becomes normal for us. We just feel like it's normal. And I think it wasn't till um I finally broke loose, but it took me a long time to break loose. I was like Rhonda kept going back. And I think part of mine was not, it was subtle. It was like mental abuse, emotional abuse. There was some physical abuse that kind of stopped because a family member came over one day and something happened. And after that, there was no more domestic violence in terms of the physical, but there was emotional and there was mental abuse. And there was always this kind of these things going on. And but it had become my normal. Like, I didn't even, it wasn't until after I finally decided. I know I had prayed so long, and I just remember one day he went to see his woman out of town, and I knew he was going. And I remember, normally I just had got to the place I wouldn't really say too much of anything. I was just passive. But I remember that day, that night, I remember we cursed each other so bad that when I woke up that morning, I felt bad. Like, at that time, I was in the church, and I'm doing this like this. I was in the church. So for me, I was like, I knew if I had to come out of myself this bad, I wasn't gonna do this anymore. But this was after divorcing this person after 6.5 years, being separated, going back and getting remarrying that person for another 10 years, and the whole time sharing him with a girlfriend that I knew about, that he would bring to places that we would come, maybe leave with her, come with me, all kind of, just when I say it was crazy, mental health, all kind of stuff. I had kind of normalized this, but when I decided that day I had an epiphany that this was done for me, I wasn't doing this anymore. I remember locking, going. I remember while he was away for the whole week, I went and got an attorney, changed the locks on the door, and filed a PPO. And he could never come back to the home. And I didn't look back. But it took me all these years to unnormalize this shit, that this ain't normal. And I had went from so like regular kind of church to more non-traditional, like because I was under Marianne Williamson for like 3 or 4 years. So like all of this work I was doing, it was working, but it was like when it would try to work, I would like fight for my own limitations. Make up, I mean, it's still mental, it's emotional, but it was abuse. And I had learned to come into agreement with his abuse. So not only did he abuse me, I abused me. I just kept abusing myself and just kept going back and just kept doing all of these crazy things. And like I said, when your husband come up to your job and you slap him, you just looking, people looking, you don't even know to be embarrassed. It's like, if you would, you just get over it real quick and you just done. You don't, and the shame that I carried, though, I carried shame, but the shame was mine. I didn't make it about nobody else, which really wasn't really my shame to carry. Like, but I didn't. So I just kept adding one layer of pain to another layer of pain, like I said. And I just learned how to, self-harm. I learned how to abuse myself. But over a period of time, I too began to have sisterhood, and I went back to college, and that kind of put me in a different headspace, even though I still had a lot of work to do. And then I would go to retreats, but it was like somebody had to pry me to go to these retreats. It was a young lady at a church that I went to, Transforming Love Community Church, and she kept asking me to go to different retreats where there were a lot of women. And for me, I didn't really have any friends. Like my friends were very limited, and I didn't know how to have friends. Um, but over a period of time, it was a community of different women in different times in my life that helped save me. Kathy was one of them. I too was taking a course with Latanya, Dr. Latanya, and I had gotten so depressed because I was writing off like, and I hit like a hard bump in the road. And I remember Kathy telling me, "This is it. You know, it's not next, it's not later. You're in your experience right now. It's still part of your experience." And it had a shift for me. So sometimes, it's like we need the women in our lives, or we need whoever we choose to have, because it really did. And that helped me to get on. And then not only that, she told Latanya, when Latanya came to talk to me, I remember saying in my mind, I don't care what she say, I'm not quitting. Because we were doing a Juicy Women's Rights passage. And I remember saying, I don't care what she say. But she wasn't coming to tell me to quit. But what she was saying, I feel like now you might need to seek some outside help, because you're in a space where you need a little bit more than I can give. And I went to therapy twice. And I got over the hump, and I continued doing what I needed to do. So yes, domestic violence comes in a lot of ways: physical, mental, emotional, even sometimes sexual abuse.
Mhm.
Um, so Kathy, let's talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, first I want to say thank you, Rhonda and Riri, for um, honoring this space with your stories and your testimonies. Wow. My own journey with depression stems, now I know it stems all the way back to childhood for me. Um, I was molested as a child, like literally a child in my crib, still in the crib. Let that still in the crib. And I'm also a survivor of maternal abuse and paternal abandonment. I had been rejected by my family, sisters, brothers, just a really dysfunctional family. And the men in my life taught me that if I give you this, you give me that.
So if you give them sex, they give you what you want.
Yeah, if you give me this, I give you that. And so it was really chaotic for me growing up, having those type of traumatic experiences at an age where I wasn't even able to process what had happened. But I had been introduced to a feeling, and you know, orgasm is like riding a bicycle. Once you get it, you don't ever forget it, you know. And so I can see now retrospectively where that, came from. But being so confused by all of these things, because I had a mom that had mental health issues herself. And back in the earlier times, say 40 years ago, mental health was not a diagnosis for people of color. We didn't even go to seek help like that. So it was just what it was. And that's the era I grew up in. So and what happened was I as I got older and things continued, I anesthetized myself with drugs and alcohol. I think by the time I was 12, I was already an alcoholic. And by the time I was 17, I was experimenting with cocaine. And by the time I was in my early 20s, I was fully addicted to crack cocaine. So I was in all that era. And of course, there's a whole colorful history that goes along with being a crackhead. I can say that, and so it was just pain on top of pain, years and years and layers of pain. My life was so horrible. Like, I will have to say that I began to make up characters and versions of myself to cope with it, right? And I created these stories and narratives, and I lived them for so long, and I couldn't even see, because I had begun to believe these narratives that I created. And then I had so many versions of myself, I didn't even know who I was. By the time I got older and had children, because, the women in my life, they dogged me. And the men in my life, they either abandoned me or abused me. And it was like, to me, this cruel cosmic joke that life would give me two sons that I ended up raising alone. And so when you put all of this together, you talking about a chick that was batshit crazy. But I couldn't see my batshit crazy at all. To me, I was surviving. I never saw myself having an opportunity to ever be connected to what I was really feeling, because I always had something to do, and I became responsible for other people. So there was always some fire that needed to be put out, or some crisis that I had to attend to, that I always had to put me on the back burner. And that went on for years and years and years. Well, then I found the church, because that's what was popular. And I threw everything into them. I don't want to knock anybody's religion, but my experience was, I was in church every time the doors opened until they closed, 2-3 times a week. And baby, let me tell you something. The truth for me is, after I got through with all the shouting and the praise and the worship, and them pouring all the Crisco oil on me and all the anointings, and after getting all the glory up off the floor, when I went home, it was the same shit. And I was the same person, week after week after week after year after year. And it wasn't until, I want to say, I think I started my journey around 2000. Well, no, I started my healing journey in 2010, but it was religious based. It was through a recovery program called Celebrate Recovery. And that was my first introduction to any type of community circles and involvement. But it was based on 12 steps, but it was Christ-centered, right? And that was my dawning light, because I did get help through that. And that is what sparked. And the word that I couldn't think of before was rundown.
Okay.
That's what sparked me wanting to do what I do in not positive, Kiss, Keeping It Soulfully Sexy, because those little 5 and 10 minute increments of just being able to be heard and be seen without interruption meant the world to me. It was so enlightening and invigorating just to be able to be seen as and be a broken mess, and be okay to be a broken mess, and let my brokenness out without judgment, without criticism, just a space where I could show up and say, hey, I'm fucked up today, or this is what's going on with me, and just let it out, and there was no feedback unless you asked for feedback. Right. And so that was what led me to this, because that was so instrumental in the beginning of my healing journey. Then in 2014, which is when I met Tressa through doing work with Latanya. I also did work with Latanya, the Juicy process. that opened up, that expanded um, uh, my presence in sacred community and sisterhood. And let me tell you, that was such a traumatic experience for me because I was such a mess. And I was the crybaby. Trust to tell you, I was the crybaby. I was the crybaby. I was so wounded, so emotional, and so needy that all relationships that I was involved in, I didn't realize it then, were products of unfulfilled and unmet needs of my own. And that is where I began to understand that in order to deal with this depression, because I was seeing doctors, I was on so much medication. It was a pill for me to wake up in the morning, a pill to manage me throughout the day, a pill to go to sleep on, that I couldn't even function and take care of my children. I remember a period where I would literally be in my room all day and barking orders at my children while I sat in the bed with my door closed because I didn't want them to see what a mess I was. So it was through this process, and then from there, Trust and I kind of seemed to move on together to the womb sauna. But through these processes is where I began to realize that in order to make meaningful transformation with this journey of mental health and depression, that I had to begin to understand the spiritual principles behind depression and begin to look at it from the spiritual aspect and begin to understand that I had an inner light that had been hidden from me, right? And that there needed to be, that depression is really about being disconnected from your heart, your cosmic truth, from order, from balance, and from your divine nurturer, right? And so that's been my continual journey. And I have through the processes that I've gone through, I've met incredible women. I've met incredible women. And I maintain contact with them. I'm not, a part of anything per se right now, but I have a circle of people that I know I can call on when I need, when I need them, and they know they can call on me when they need me. And so that's how it works for me. So I feel very grateful because I want to say I still have bouts here and there, but what's been important for me is understanding that depression is not happening to me, it's happening for me. As Rhonda shared, that's so important to understand that the experiences that we have, how they show up in the physical, is simply the universe giving us the feedback to see what our choices are actually creating and writing on the board of our life. And we're living that out. And I say that to say, what I learned is that if I'm doing that, then I can do something different. I have the power to change it, right? And the way that I look at things now, these things that I once called horrible, and just like you talked about your experience with your ex, I don't know if it was your husband or whatever, Rhonda, but that is so true, that had that experience not happened, you wouldn't be where you are. And now I understand that is how the divine works. That is how the universe works. It will give us what we need because it'll give you subtle hints. And when you don't move, then it'll come and push your ass, right? So it will always give you exactly what you need. And it's actually what we're actually calling this in on some level, to say, okay, this is what I'm going to need to make this shift, to make this move. So nothing is ever happening to us, it's happening for us. And so when I begin to be able to look at things that way, it took a lot of the the pain and the victimization out of it for me and put me in my seat of power to say, okay, what are you coming to teach me? Why is this happening? But then also I learned in this process that the dark places that we've been taught to shun and run from and hide, and because this is not right and because it doesn't feel good, but that's where transformation takes place, in the dark. Life started in the dark and called forth the light, but the darkness was always there. So we have to go to those dark places to get the truth, to bring back into the light. And that's that shadow work, and being able to um, be comfortable with all versions of myself, right? All of it, the good and what I would normally want to hide and not talk about and push under the rug and act like it didn't exist, and all of that. That's the stuff that we have to embrace about ourselves to be whole, so that it's one complete package. So there's so much more, it's not because depression is chemical, it is chemical imbalances, but it's also about spiritual balance as well. So
Yeah, because I do believe that it's about chemical imbalances. And I also think, too, though, it's unprocessed stuff that we won't process. And
mhm,
so it's turning against us. It's like literally inside out is eating us up because we won't. Like there are some people literally born with this, and other people that may not have had it, but something happens. And because we don't face it, we don't address it, it begins to eat away at us. It's interesting because because I wrote some notes here, and one of the things I want to start with is our identity. It seems like none of us really knew. Well, we may have had some sense of who we were, but with so much going on, it's like we either didn't know or forgot. And it seems like all of us are coming back to a place where we're starting to understand who we are.
yeah,
Like all my life, probably until the last 10 or 15 years of my life, I wanted to be everybody but me. Now
yeah,
I don't want to be nobody but me.
yes,
But all that time, I was always looking for um Kathy talked about finding, the way her initial way with her, she was looking for validation. I feel like that was me too, oftentimes, but also it was deeper than that. It was like somebody fix me, something's wrong. Like, I just could not see anything good or of value. And it showed up in the way I show up with myself. And so I think when it comes to that, I think that's one thing that I've noticed about all of us. We're starting to come into a place that when you start to do this work, you start to be able to see. But I also want to go a little bit further. I know, and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I'm still having challenges because I've stopped identifying with um or because I'm able to look at the things that have happened. So I was like, well, damn, I feel like I fit in everything. The only thing I didn't do was drink. And Kathy was talking about that, and that was Norma's story. Norma was going to talk a little bit about how she became a heavy drinker. She's of the Native American um, background, and she was going to give us, and she can't get back on. However, I wanted to say, but then when I think about the sexual abuse, like my first time experiencing that, I was 10, about to turn 11. I was a week or so from 11. Um, all these different things. And those kind of used to be my stories, and I would talk about them. But now when I talk about them, I talk about them as if I'm talking about the weather. Like this happened, and this happened. But that's it. There's no attachment to it. But what I
right,
have to tell y'all is I still sometimes, and I'm still working through, like, what conversation do I have with women? Because that was my identity. And when I stop making that my identity, I start feeling lost in the sauce. Like, what
mm,
do you talk about? Like, I wanted to go live, but like, what do you talk about? Because none of these things, they don't,
define you,
they don't make me who I am. They're not my identity. They're not who I really am. They're just experiences that I had. And so I wanted to kind of bring that up because sometimes as we start moving away and healing, we find ourselves sometimes, and not everybody, but I know I was one of those bodies, trying to figure out, now who I am I? And now what do I talk about? And now what is my life about? Because if it's not those things right there, if it's not the stress, if it's not the trauma, if it's not the this, it's not the that, who am I?
Exactly.
So that's something that I just want the women out there that may come in later is normal. It is a normal part of the process to begin to say, once you stop identifying with everything that's happened to you and you begin to be able to just see it for what it was and move in your life, that those may be spaces where you have to just begin to reaffirm yourself and to figure it out. Is something you have to do, but still it's a part of the process. Um, I remember, Kathy, you
You know
said you was
something else,
hiding.
sis? Oh, sorry
Yeah,
about that.
go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
It just came to me and it went away, and I'm like, give it back to me, spirit. So this spirit was just like, and y'all downplay. And I was like, what? And it was just like, you downplay. And I was like, okay, let me remember it. So sometimes us women who we've been through so much and we are so used to being there for so many other people that we downplay what we going through. Because once Kathy was talking and she was talking about the drugs and the sex and all that, it's like when you actually in that moment, it's like you try to keep it protected because you used to being strong. It's like that strength isn't an option. That's just who you is. And so this don't matter. This don't matter. This don't matter. It was up until maybe I'm about the sexual part. I was so used because I did sex. Like, man, I tear them up. I'm telling you before I knew it. But then I realized I was empty. I was empty, but that was my only way of control. Everybody else controlled my life, but in that bed, I controlled that. But I was empty. And so it went to whenever my latest guy that I was with, and he was older, it went to him, me not wanting to have sex, to him forcing me to have sex. And afterwards, I'm telling myself, oh, he was just horny. Oh, he just wanted some of this. But no, he still took that from you, sis. No, that's reality. Stop downplaying what you're going through. And then that leads to our depression even more. I know that what it was for me. We downplay so much, but also we don't understand how deeply rooted our mental health is. It wasn't until I was forced to come back down here for me to understand that this mental illness isn't just my paternal, it's my maternal, but they downplay it. They hold it in and they so used to it looking like a what word am I can't even think of what word, but looking like a taboo that now
Mhm.
this ain't me. I did a speaking, my first speaking when it came to mental health, and I exposed like actually I didn't expose it, I just let it be known that this was in my family, even with my mother. And she stopped talking to me for that because she was like, I ain't back over. I ain't trying to kill myself. And this and that. And I felt bad. And I didn't tell that story anymore. But once they heal it, it's like, no, because there's a root cause. What we ignore, I did a video, I haven't posted it yet, but that video said your silence is heard. So you could choose to, and this is coming from how I was built with my team. You could choose to downplay what you've been through and hold that in, but you got to think of it generationally. You got your kids, you got your grandkids, you got people coming by, and somebody that didn't do their job, and this isn't all the time, let it for you to do because you're strong. But what happens when we go ahead and face it while we got our sisterhood? That way we don't have to worry about that more. We could choose to come back however many times we go, but we choose. That's when we become the author. Like we accept our position as the author. Like everything that went with us mentally, when you really accept that, then you can grow. Because now we really ain't delusional because we know what we've been through. We know what this is. Now we got to move forward. All of us have some similarities. And I just listening to y'all story, I'm just like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Even
know,
though our
right?
circumstance was different. Yeah, we deal with it. We deal with some of this stuff the same way. We
But you
deal
know,
with
when
it.
you
So I
said
love
that
it.
about
Like
the
I'm
parents,
enjoying it.
That is
Yeah.
why community is so important because we are
Yeah.
more alike than we are different.
as long
And,
as we not
Mm-hmm.
doing it a way that, and
Yes.
Kathy, you can keep speaking, but I wouldn't really make this important because initially, years back, the women, we kind of just co-signed each other. We weren't there. We built on each other's
Mhm.
trauma. Sisterhood is a beautiful thing
Yeah.
if you choose not to build, not to use it to build on each
Right.
other's trauma, but to
Right.
Mhm.
use it to lift
Mhm.
each other up.
I get a trauma bond.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was a
Right.
big part of why I had such a hard time in my first real sacred sisterhood community, Juicy, because I was so used to being surrounded by people that trauma bond. Not only people that trauma bond, but people that actually benefited on me remaining in the condition that I was in, so they help you. Those are the ones that help you all the time, but they only helping you stay like you are. When I came face to face with a community that actually challenged me, and I'm like, well, help me. And it was like, no, baby, this is the space where you help yourself. We hold the space for you.
Yeah.
We support you, but you do the work, and I was like, because I want you to help me.
But
Uh,
Kathy, I understand that. I get it because for so long, it was like I just felt like everybody had it but me. It's taking me so long to realize ain't nobody's meant to come and save me. Rhonda came in, she gave me tools. And these women are giving you, and your sister can give you tools, but
mhm.
you got to choose to save yourself. And I feel like even now, that's where I am, even with the work I do. I started this work in 2016. I think because we met Latanya maybe in 2016. I don't know. I decided I wanted a book club, and Rhonda was one of the first ones that came with a couple other people. Um, but I wanted a book club. Why? Because I felt like I could get more out of having a group of women that I could by myself. Because something happened and the light came on, and I realized you behind the ball. Now that's not judgment, but back then it was meant for judgment. But right now, it was like I was so far behind the ball that it was so much. I felt like I think it was like in my late 40s, early 50s or whatever. I just felt like, damn, I'm so far behind. Like there was so much. I would go to work, come home. My children, when they were grown, I didn't do nothing but go home, come work, go to work, go come home, go exercise. And that was it. That was my life. Um, and when I decided that, I knew I could get more out of sisterhood than I could by myself. And so that was why that's really how my journey started to take a different form.
Okay.
It's important.
Yeah.
And I think what Kathy said about us realizing that we're more the same than we are different, that's what makes it okay to start self-reflecting. When you see your sister going through, it might not be the same, but she going through, and you are even able to give her a little piece of what your journey was and it helps her. Once that happens, even if it's not you and someone, when you're new to those circles and you see two other people and the synergy that happens, the whole room shifts to feel that
Mhm.
energy. That's why, I mean, we're all in different places all across the country. So this Zoom or whatever it's called, StreamYard, is important. But I am still cultivating in-person sister circles because that synergy is unmatched in person. And then it's the offline where two or three people might just click. You know how you click more with some sisters than you do with others. And those sisterhoods are built in that too. Because look at Kathy and Tressa. We were in Latanya's group of, I don't know, she had 15 people in there. I don't know what half of those people are, but it was Kathy. Is her name Dorothy? I cannot know.
It was
Mohammed.
Carol and
Carol.
Christian.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're still connected now. Again, some of those sisters, we don't know where they are, but that synergy between us, who's supposed to be connected, sisterhood does it. And you build lifelong friendships and lifelong bonds. And sometimes we recognize soul bonds that we already had and we already had set up before we got here, and we just needed these spaces to reconnect, to support
Right,
each other.
right.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing, and we need this for our mental health. We need this for our growth and development because you can't do it alone. You just can't do
No, and it's not just Rhonda, you just made a great point. And it's not just always the we are there and we can help each other when we see things going wrong or out of order, or we see we can support our sister because she's crying and you know we're there. But also the when you start doing your classes about goddess, and I'm asking about all these questions like now, a lot of times I would sit at the back of the bus or the back. I guess I'd call it the back of the bus, but I would sit in the back. But in Rhonda's class, like I'm sitting up in the front and I'm asking a million questions. And
Trista, you
um
always ask a million questions. That's how you get to grow. And that's
I
why we
know, but
love
I
you.
was always asking a million questions and just asking and um learning, like some just soaking it up because again, these were things that, and the thing, it wasn't coincidental, but she had came to our church and she was doing a workshop. And when I found out she had class, like I'm going. But something about our relationship, we realized we call each other twins, like we were sisters in another lifetime or something, and very close. And but she helped me. Even when I wanted to learn about sex magic, I could go to her, and I didn't feel ashamed. Like, who do you know? Who do you know I can do this with?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I didn't talk about my past. I had, my cousin sexually abused me. I was having sex at 12. From 12 to 16, we thought we was boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay. At least I thought he was my man. He was taking me to school, all of these things. It wasn't until later I realized I was doing something I had no business doing. I mean, we knew it was wrong, but I didn't recognize that I was a victim until I recognized later on. But we shared a lot of those spaces of abuse and just grew. I mean, we had our own sisterhood outside of, what I was providing in the class. Tressa and I
Yes.
really just bonded. And y'all know Tressa is special. So
Thank you.
I love her.
I,
I
I
love
love
her,
you
and
too.
I love what you're doing, and I've always seen this on you. I've always seen this sisterhood on you, and the fact that you ask questions is because you wanna expand, and every time you expand, you take people with you. So don't stop.
Yep.
Don't
And
stop.
I appreciate all of y'all because I love all of y'all, including Rachel. And Rachel, I'm gonna get to your question before we end. But girl, tears coming to my eyes. But each one of y'all has played a different part in my life. And when Rhonda would talk to me, I got a chance to talk to her. And then I realized that some part of me, even though I had been sexually abused, um, by my stepfather and then different men after that, because I call myself getting away from this experience. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I was much stronger than I thought I was. Because after he did it one time, I was like, damn, this feel
Mm-hmm.
good, but this is a no. And I remember saying that. And I got
Yeah.
really treated differently than my younger sister and my stepsister. And but
Mm-hmm.
um then I met my what would be my godmother, my godparents, and they would stand we stayed in a two-family flat and they stayed downstairs, we stayed upstairs. Well, when they decided to move and go and move by a house, um they were like my safe place for a long time. So I would just pitch a fit. My mom didn't let me go over there in the summertime or the weekends, and so she did. And one particular time, my godmother said, "Hey, can you get the kids down? I just fix breakfast. When they finish, wash the dishes, sweep up the floor." And I did that. But I bent down to get the trash, and her husband ran his hands from the front of my vagina to the back, and I didn't go back. And so like I had all of these mixed thoughts about what was appropriate or like just really. I think by the time I met my kid's father, I was just looking to get out in my own mind, like because it was abusive from the beginning. Like it wasn't never really a safe space. But I convinced myself that it was, but it really never was a safe space. And so here I am, like right, probably in my late 40s, early 50s. I'm starting to acknowledge because now when I see like my children had their grandmother, which is I loved my children's father's mother. She was like one of my best friends. She was really good to me. And so her and her sisters and her daughters, because they were much older, they would be talking about sex, they'd be talking about all that stuff, just laughing and joking. But I had never really had a deep connection, but started to feel like, hey, I wanted to explore because that was my sister. And then as the kids got older,
Mm-hmm.
um, not my mother-in-law them necessarily, but her daughters, they aunts, they kind of would talk about things. So they was exposed to a lot of different things. And I'm not talking about inappropriate things. I'm talking about just conversation. So not something that they like
Mhm.
would feel uncomfortable around. And I realized there was a part of
Mhm.
me that's starting to wake up that didn't have nothing to do necessarily with sex per se, but just being able to understand who I was as a woman. And that is part of that experience. Um, and so after meeting Rhonda and learning about sex magic, it opened me up a lot more
Okay.
when she gave me somebody I could go to and that person said yes. And so we had, we tried a couple of those things and then I met someone else and we're not together. But that was a beautiful experience. So the thing is having sisterhood helps you to heal through the damaging parts of your experience where you can still look at some of this
Mhm.
stuff and see it so differently where you don't just get caught up and you get stuck and you don't know how to get out
Mhm.
of it. And that's one of the things that I love about y'all. Like I said, um Riri, for you, I just when I watch you and I be watching you on your lives and I'm like, look at her, she is just doing the damn thing. um and I was like,
I
I
say.
just smile. And then Rhonda has been like that from day one. Like she is just she
Mhm.
knows so much stuff. And one thing she's
Mhm.
never done, and I don't even know if we've ever argued, but she's
Over what?
never turned on me. She's never taken what I've told her and used it against me. She's never tried
Mhm.
to disrespect
Mhm.
me in any way. She always made me
Mhm.
feel like I could, even when I didn't think I could. And that's the power of
Absolutely.
Mhm.
sisterhood. Or
Mhm.
um And then, like I said, Kathy reminded me, this is your journey. It ain't later. Everything you experience is all part of it, and it's all part of your
Right.
growth. And Kathy has been here with me for, like she said, maybe 10 years. I don't know if we've really ever
That's
had an argument.
good.
Well, yeah, we've had some disagreements and some
Yeah,
things,
a
but
little
she
thing.
tells me how she feels, and I tell her how I
Yeah.
feel. And then that's pretty much the end of it. And I think that
Mhm.
that's one of the things that when you start having sisterhood, because also, like I said, I grew up pretty much alone. I had one person that
Mhm.
I knew, and then I had somebody at work that I knew, but I really didn't have sisterhood. And so having sisterhood, different women, whether they're these women on the line or whatever, they were able to sit and tell me things and teach me things that I didn't know, that I wasn't aware of. And so
Mhm.
we get a chance to see that we're not alone. We're really not
Mhm.
alone, that we have each other if we allow ourselves to have each other. I want to talk about something too that came up, and then again, I'm going to ask Rachel's question, but I really want to talk about this. You still have to be discerning. I do not want to say that all sisterhood is equal and alike. Rhonda, I see you shaking your head. Come on and speak up to that. Kathy, I know you can speak to
Okay.
that, but
Well,
let's talk about that.
You talking
I'm
about me?
I'm gonna just
Oh,
quote the individuals that reached out to me when I was in Florida. Remember, I told you guys Spirit wanted me back home.
Right.
Well, there were 4 different women that I hadn't talked to since the classes in different ways. 3 or 4 years I hadn't spoken to them that were calling me saying that there was no sisterhood here because the women that had the circles were of predatory nature. They were bringing these women in, and we go just gonna say taking their energy. They go through all the ceremonies. They wearing white. They getting spiritual names. They doing all the things. But when it comes to the real transformation helping happening inside, they're not there for that. And they pick and choose the weaker ones to pull in their closer inner circle and then talk about female interactions. How about I just put it like that?
All right. Thank you.
mm,
And I appreciate that. And that's why I want the ladies to know, be discerning.
yeah.
Kathy, you want to speak to it?
So absolutely. Um, yes, be discerning. And I would say um, that discernment, let it be observing. If if you choose a coach or you enter into a sisterhood circle, then take some time to just watch how the leader interacts with not only the women in the circle, but women outside of the circle as well. Because you can't preach sisterhood and sacredness and all of that, and then you're tearing other sisterhood circles down or attacking them. Then you're trying to teach your circle about integrity and opening your throat chakra and positive communication and all these things, and you're not doing it. And because I'm extremely direct, I'm sorry, a lot of them are damn liars. So watch what they say and see if it match up and if it's consistent. I have a legal mind, legal background, so I'm keen on details, and I'll remember and recall stuff. I could lose it in the moment, but once I heard it, I heard it. And so when you come back 6 weeks later and you say something completely different than the tag over here, I'm tracking. I'm tracking now. Now I'm tracking. And I want to see how much and how often the story changes. We have to take time to do this because there is nothing more powerful than when a group of women come together in purpose, on purpose, to purposely be there for one another. It's powerful. As Rhonda said, the room transforms. The energy itself is healing. Like you walk away just feeling like, oh, because at the end of the day, we all want to know that we're loved, we're heard, we're seen, and somebody cares, and to take that and misuse it, right? You have to discern how healed or how much healing work they really have. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect to be coaching or leading a group, but you damn sure can't be out there trauma bonding and disguising your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Disguising your stuff, because now we got AI, so we can all sound good. But is it lining up? Is it
Yes.
lining
And
up? Because once you get that wound, for somebody like me that's been wounded by women all my life, to come
Yes.
in and open up in a circle and then be wounded like that is devastating. And each woman will handle that differently. And then when you compile on it that you're dealing with women that are dealing with depression, they're dealing with low self-esteem, have already been abused, have all kind of different traumas, and to come in, because Black women, this is I want to say in maybe the span of the past 10 years, this has been building and growing. But prior to that, women didn't trust each other. We didn't trust each other to sit and open up. I would never sit in a circle and share this kind of stuff 10 years ago.
and so Kathy, one of the things that two things that you said, because I'm gonna let Riri talk, but two things. One is, as women, I know, well, two things. One, I want to say, as women, whether you're cousin, aunt, sister, don't get women to listen to you talk with them and go and tell their stuff.
Oh my
Like
God.
some of my, this was some of my I'll say relatives had another relative and would bring these younger girls and talk to them and then go tell all their business. Then they did not learn what it meant for sisterhood. And they're such an impressionable young age that they don't feel like they can really have friends. People going to tell their business. They don't understand the power of how important or how powerful it can be, because as grown women, or even we're getting these women, and we're kind of like Rhonda say, being predatory. But I don't know if they went back and told stuff. But I'm just saying the fact that it can happen. Like when someone shares with you, don't abuse the language. Don't what is that, right? Use it against them. But there was another word I want to use, and I get it, because when we start to talk about sisterhood and how powerful sisterhood can be, you also have to understand it is reciprocity. And also you have to understand, because for me all this time, I wanted to be somebody else because I didn't know that I was their equal. So when you understand you their equal or better, and I don't mean better than, I'm talking about better in what, for each one of us, a God of our own life. So that means us better by our own life or the experience of whatever we need we going through or whatever we want to do, but not necessarily better than anybody else. But I'm saying, but when you don't understand how powerful you are and you don't understand that you're just as equal. One of the things that I did come to understand that oftentimes that I saw different things in women that was because I also did not recognize. I only could call it and name it what I saw in that woman because it was also in me. And when I began to realize that I had the same potential, the same possibilities, life became different. And you have to understand. And a thing too to watch out for is when women come to us, keep reminding them they're just as powerful as us and all of these things. So we lift them up and we don't let them begin to hold on to us because that's not why we're here either. We're not here to pull people in and they become behind us and act like we're their God, but we're not. So it could go either way. But I'm grateful for like the conversation. I had something recently that happened, and like I said, this sister just she just tried to blow it up, and all the things that was shared or whatever, she tried to come in and she was just trying to do all kind of things, destroy families, just blowing up, saying things that were talked to her about, and that's not real sisterhood. That's not. But that's why I say be discerning. If you want to say something, Riri, you can. And after this
I do.
question,
I just
Rachel
want.
had a question for you, Rhonda, and
Okay.
then we'll
I
start to
may
close
I
out.
may have to jump off because I got another commitment.
Okay.
So if
Uh,
I'm gonna try to
All
hang
right.
in as long as I can, but if I
it's
go,
over at 2. I mean,
Okay.
it's over in 15 minutes. Okay,
okay,
go
okay.
go ahead.
Right. No, I do. I want to piggyback off of discernment. Like a question to really ask when you're looking for a mentor, a coach, or either a sister in sisterhood. I've learned this lesson. This has been a lifelong lesson is, are they for you? Or are they about it for you, for them? I've been following quite a few people that actually led me to, the mentors that I have now. And it was more of me asking a question or showing, okay, I could relate to this. Now, can you guide me to that? When you put pressure on them to ask questions that they do not know, it turns sour. At least that was for me. You could feel it. They don't want you to grow because if I got my area right now, this is what I'm speaking. You're not speaking. You're not the teacher. To me, a sisterhood, we bouncing off of each other. I did a video recently that said that if every woman we're different. Although we are alike, but if we share one of our different qualities with the next one to build them up as we really realize our power, oh, what a time it would be.
Yeah,
And so really, really being out here now, I don't go out. I don't follow that many people anymore. Because I have accepted
either.
another role. But in doing so, you got to make sure you're not reaching out to people from trauma. Because just like we said earlier, when you do that trauma bond, you give them control over you and you will continue to go to them. And I'm going to give y'all one example. I called California psychics this year to see how much I had spent with them over the years of me growing. Keep in mind that about 98% of those psychics I gave word to, where they did not give word to me. I had spent over $65,000 because
Wow.
I needed validation. I felt I never had validation. So when I do something, I needed somebody to let me know something. But I had a select few. One lady told me, she said, sit down right now. I'm like, what I'm sitting down for? I'm calling you. I need to know some stuff. She said, close your eyes and tell me what's inside of my office. I'm like, you crazy. Like, come on, I need to ask you questions. She said, trust me. I went into detail from a dog outside to a play area to her whole personality. She said, you have remote view. Don't you dare call another psychic. You hone your gift. And I'm sitting here like, but I got questions. I got
I got
questions.
questions.
Yes.
Like, get
And
that.
now to this day today, I'm still working on it. I'm not as much as I you. It's just not hitting me. This was the time. But had not that one, maybe the few that told me, everybody else kept telling me the same story. Oh yeah, this your man, this, and that's building my that's making it my mental health worse. You have to have clarity within yourself. I don't care how hard it is. This today, I woke up, y'all, and I wrote in my journal, today is different. I am new. Today wasn't the same as it was yesterday or any other day that I have lived. I cried yesterday. But when I woke up, I slept outside last night. I woke up like, oh man, I did it again. And I looked around and I said, today is new. You have to know who you are, or at least have an image of who you think you're supposed to be so you can move forward. So when you out here, you even if you stay with people, because we like to stay, we like to hold people down. You know how they go and let them feel like they got somebody because that's what we needed or we wanted. You have to make sure you have that sisterhood because y'all, I done been ate up from me being soft and not knowing. And even though I knew my gifts, I didn't know my power. You got to know
Mm.
your power before you enter into any type of spiritual streets. I don't care if it's religion. That's really where I got my power from, hurt in a lot in the church. You
Mhm.
gotta know who you are. And when you connect with people, they lifelong to me. My group now, and you gotta let go. Let go of them people that you just feel you can't help because they triggering you. That's if it's a trigger, let it go so you could get your sisterhood. I'm gonna reach out to
Yeah, and
y'all. I'm gonna be sending some requests because I like y'all.
it is a beautiful
I'm
thing.
finished.
And one thing,
I'm
and
finished.
Rhonda, so Rhonda, keep this question in mind because I'm going to say this thing, and then I want you to answer um Rachel's question, and then you can tell where you can be found, and we're going to go around. But one of the things I knew that I had to be careful with, but it took me many years to understand this. Like
Excuse me.
I had a lot of empathy because I knew of all what I had gone through. So I had a lot of empathy. But you could have empathy for your sisters,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to hold them accountable. But what I realized, it was hard to
Yep.
hold them accountable because I was still making excuses for myself. When you stop making excuses for yourself
Yep.
and your own behaviors that don't really serve you anymore, like you could say, well, I know how she feels because I went through that. Okay, well, but then what? Because now at the end of the day, you still got to grow from that space. And so I was given way too much more empathy probably than I should have, in the sense that I understood, but then I was making excuses for them because I still realized I was making excuses for myself where I needed to grow. So I want to say thank you to our audience for really for staying this long and showing up. Rhonda, so Rachel's question is the navel. Can you explain a little bit about putting the oil in the navel?
Oh, oil enabled. So
Or on the
the,
wait a
Wait,
minute,
I'm
hold on.
sorry. I thought it was some energy
Wait a
it
minute,
work
she
was
that
said
was
energy
release
work.
done.
of energy. She said
It was,
release, the release of the navel.
yes. So hi Rachel. Good to hear
Hi.
your voice. She's come through with clarity. I do
I'm
put
sorry,
oil.
Rachel. I had to get it right.
I do
No,
put
no, no.
oil
But
in the
I
navel
know
too,
we're,
though.
we're we're short on time. That's why I was like,
Right, right. We do put oil in the navel for healing as well, but that's separate. What I was talking about was a dial technique because I had a dial therapist work me through releasing the trauma. So there is a way to massage the navel by pulling it in a clockwork fashion. And each quadrant of your navel has a different energy associated with it, whether it's metal, wood, and all the rest of that. So there was a whole, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but there was a whole ritual, if you will, that went along with the navel work. It wasn't just that; it was also what is it? EMT work where
EMDR.
yes, EMDR work that went along with it as well. So it was multiple modalities because trauma doesn't just happen to us mentally. It happens physically. Our cells
Mm-hmm.
remember. It happens emotionally. It happens spiritually. And so when we do this healing, we have to attack it from all spaces. We have to attack the trauma. Yes, I mean attack because it's in the way. It's an obstacle. But to directly answer your question, it's massaging by pulling the navel down to the right, up, and to the left, but systematically and according to what traumas you're trying to release.
Okay, so Rhonda, we are
Yes.
having next month. It's always the the fourth Sunday of the month. Next month, we're going to be talking about physical healing, like menopause, and you know, while we do vaginal steamings and a whole bunch of other things. So you are welcome to come back because Rachel really want to hear about all this.
Thank you,
And Rachel will
Rhonda.
be
You are
co-hosting with me
welcome.
next month. She'll be co-hosting
Oh,
the the physical health part. So if you could come back, yeah, we would love to hear a little bit more about that. So
yay.
Rhonda, you want
Absolutely.
to close us out, and then Kathy, and then me. For some reason, Riri had to drop off, and so
Sure,
yeah.
sure. I again, Tressa, thank you for inviting me for this Sunday. Yes, I'll come back next Sunday. And I'm gonna have to drop off too here in just a second. But
Mhm.
individuals that want to reach me, I'm at goddessclasses.com. Again, goddess classes with es at the end.com. And what that is my space that the Goddess Society holds. I don't talk much about um, the physical wellness there, but if you go down to the classes, you'll see how everything is broken down. Our foundational classes are for those newbies who are just getting started with finding out who they are and really tapping into your inner person. Then we have classes for the mid-range initiate. So the seeker classes are for brand newbies. The initiate is for those that have been on this path for a while. And then we have classes for the sage, those of us that have been doing this work and have businesses and want to continue to grow and expand. So goddess classes is the path.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. Kathy,
Okay.
well, you
Thank
can be
you,
reached.
Jessica, for being here. I have, listen, based off of what we just talked about with the sacred circles and all of that, I have been off of social media for a good hot minute now. As I said, what I do, it's just by word of mouth and people that hear me. I don't have anything up yet. I'm working on that, but I'm gonna put my email address in the chat thread. And I'll just put my phone number. Like, I just keep it simple. Um,
Okay. Okay.
um, eight, and so what I offer is, sorry, um, again, is a safe container to just have a rundown, or if you actually have an issue, because I'm really that girl. If you've been married and divorced, I got you. You've been diagnosed, with life threatening illness, I got you. You've been homeless, I got you. You've been unemployed, a single parent, abandoned, maternal abuse, rejection. Like, we can just talk about anything. And so I like to have that place where um, you can unleash or release, and with some compassion.
Oh,
Like I
that's
said,
good.
you can have feedback or you cannot. It's up to you. And the way it's been working right now is it could be anywhere from a 10-minute block to an hour block, and we discuss whatever the arrangements are when you call, and we set it up, because I'm just really informal right now, like I'm getting it together. But the few ladies that do interact with me seem to find value in it. And so I want to offer that. In addition, my fascination is in cosmic law,
Mm-hmm.
divine feminine. So I also teach on the different paths of that through the different goddesses, godheads, all the way from Ma'at down to Nut, down to Ra, to make set all of them, and show how reclaiming and uncovering this hidden knowledge, because it's all within us, it's all within, how unlocking that helps transform or gives you the power to take back your mental health and sit in a seat of power. So those are the things that I love and that I'm passionate about. And so
Thank
in
you.
addition, and you get a twist with all of it too, because as we're talking, sorry, and you have life experiences, like when like I said, my background, I'm about to finish up my bachelor's of science in paralegal. I'll be going to law school next year. So you get a lot, because when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing things and I'm able to make connections in different ways, you know. So it's like a full stop shop over here. I don't know how else to say.
All right.
Lot.
And now, come on through, Miss Riri.
All right. I don't know what happened, guys, but you can
That's
find
okay.
me across all social media as the leading boss lady, with the exception of Facebook being Riri Young. My Gmail that I use, I do use a Gmail. I haven't upgraded just yet, but it's the leading boss lady 89 at gmail.com. Different services that I offer is really open, but I've been pushing my guidance package. Right now it's $44. It's been $44 because that's the price that Spirit led me to. But your service for that boils down to you. What do you need assistance with? Do you need assistance with your vision for your business? Do you need assistance with, patterns and schedules with you and your children? I offer much for what is needed. So what happens is we talk, we see what's needed, we come up with a plan, and that's what it is. We just go stick with it from that. But I do like to promote with children my emotional and mental regulation. I use like different cards and stuff just to help them push and process through their emotions, understanding what emotions are versus, your feelings and this and that. And being able to accept and process. I've done that through mental health facilities as well, with me
What
working with
age?
Department of
What
Corrections
ages?
previously. And I plan,
What
ma'am.
ages? What ages? With the
What you say?
children? What ages?
Ages.
You know what? I have not asked about that. I don't, you know what? And that's something I need to decide on. I've worked with so many different children, from small children with ABA to teenagers when it come down to like mental health. So I think that's something, I'm glad you guys asked me that. That's something I need to decide on as I push. So I do thank you. See, look at that sisterhood. Thank
But it
y'all.
already
But I do
seems
have to
like you're
decide on that.
doing, though. You answered your question. You've been doing it from all the ages.
Right.
So
You don't
maybe
have
up
a
to,
Okay.
limitation.
you know.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
no,
So
but
I'm
I
in a
mean, it's
process
something you can
right
think
now
about.
of getting everything. Yeah, I'm in a process of getting everything that pointed down to what my focus want to be. You know how you can have so much that you do, and it's like, how do I label this? So when I did the guidance package, it's kind of like, it's not just say for instance somebody needs to know something with their children. Okay, just go and get the guidance package. That's just my startup so that I don't have to put too much weight on my mental state right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've learned that about me. I've learned that about me. If I put too much on me, sometimes I just don't do. So I have to really, really take it easy sometimes, so that when I gotta go hard, I can do it. Like, this really is my life. Like, I have to keep myself balanced at all times. But those are some of the things that I do offer, and it's going to be growing. I have a list. I have things already completed that just have not been pushed out. But my focus is that guidance package. Where do we start? What do we do? What is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? So I'm open to really what comes, because it wouldn't have came if it wasn't for me. So, but the
Thank
guidance
y'all,
package
ladies,
is
for
what it is. It is what it is.
I appreciate y'all. Thank
Good.
y'all for showing up. So, of course, I'm trusted with Radical
We love you.
Transformation with T, which is the parent company of Centrally Empowered Woman and Transformative Conversations and Solutions. And I do coaching. I hold retreats. We're having a summit come up called the Year of the Orgasm. Rhonda is going to be one of the speakers. Dr. Latanya, Nishiki Chandler, M. Rain, and okay, there was somebody else. Come on, help me, Tasha. Who was the person I am leaving out? Oh, Asha Sims. There is going to be a group of women, because when we talk about the year of the orgasm is not just sexual, but it's a experience. It could be. So
Mhm.
we got mental. Somebody's going to be talking about a mental orgasm, a physical, a spiritual, Rhonda financial. Like, we
Okay.
talking about like bursting out, having that. You know what I'm saying? That great experience
Yeah.
that that settles in our bones, something we want over and over and over. And so, you know, when we start talking about sensory empowered woman, we're talking about the senses, really tapping deep into our senses, and using them, letting them be a guidepost. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Radical Transformation with T is a group. I have a Sensually Empowered Woman group. My YouTube, and I don't know, I think I gave out quite a bit. So I just want everybody to remember, though, we do have a summit coming up. I'm going to be starting to post about that more. We have a bunch of beautiful women that's going to be here to help us, to help you all. So with that being said, our next forum is going to be in 4 weeks. As always, the fourth Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will actually be talking about our health, our physical health, women and their physical health. And again, Rachel will be one of the hosts.
Congratulations, Rachel.
So thank you, everyone. So I really appreciate y'all. And the summit is 2 days, but not. It's really from like maybe 2 hours on Friday to like 7 to 8 hours on Saturday. So when I say that, and for all of y'all that pay to come in, there is a payment plan. You can put $50 down and pay in 2 payments of $100. There is also some goodies that's going to be coming along. Just because you in your house don't mean you can't have some goodies. We have some really beautiful things planned out for the women who decide to pay. Not only just the wisdom that's going to be coming from all the teachers, but other things as our way of saying thank you. We appreciate y'all. Okay, until next time.
Right.
Thank you for everybody also being patient today. Look, I used to be so embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed now. I tried to come on 15 minutes early. Next time I'm gonna come on 30 minutes early. So if there's anything I gotta fix, I can come on and get it fixed. I tried 15 minutes. I thought this would be enough time for me to make some moves. All right. So with that, thanks everybody.
On yourself, it was a retrograde too, so it wasn't all you.
Well, thank you. See, that's what I'm talking about, sisterhood. My sister got my back. She's like, look, don't take that all on yourself.
All right, guys. I love you.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Riri. Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks, Rachel, for being on. And thanks, Norma, even though you didn't get to stay on. Thank you. And thank you, Tasha. We love you. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.